Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren, and today I want to talk a bit about Warfronts and how I feel about them. I guess there's a bit to talk about the whole idea of Warfronts. How this content is an Alliance versus Horde piece of content, but it's not PvP. I wanted to take a look real quick about the basics of World PvP, and then there's a few other things that I want to cover towards the, I guess, the second half of the video. But let's first get on with the main topic, Warfronts. Now, a lot of people are still waiting to see what Warfronts are going to be like. Hasn't been like amazing amount of testing for it. We've had the Island Expedition, and those have got testing even in the PvP department. But Warfronts is one of those things that still needs to be tested, and I'm thinking it'll either start getting tested early alpha or towards the beta, where they'll probably more invites for a lot more people to really test the servers and really test how it operates. Warfronts is, let's get to the basics of it. What is Warfronts? So just have an article here on MMO Champion, exactly what it is. Expansion will release with a 20-player Warfront in Arathi Highlands, and there's supposed to be more Warfronts as we go on, as expansion goes on. Warfronts may change outside of the world where your faction controls it, granting access to world bosses. So for example, in Arathi Highlands, the Alliance or the Horde will be doing the attack after collecting resources, and if they win the Warfront, and they should, then they get access to Arathi Highlands and different things that you can do there. So it should be like a phase thing, where if you're leveling through Arathi Highlands, you should be able to level. But if you're on max level, a lot like how they had with the Barons for a lot of high-end characters, you could go there as a max level character and you'll get phased, where you could do actual world quests in that area. So that'll be the whole point. It's a lot like Tolbarad, and in terms of its PvE access, you're doing this activity, usually in Tolbarad it's a PvP activity, to unlock a piece of PvE content, which is usually like one boss or two. We saw the same thing in Wrath of Lich King, and I didn't play back in Wrath, but people that did play back in Wrath, with Winter Grasp, you're doing an activity, primarily PvP activity, to unlock PvE content. Here you don't do PvP though, you are just doing Horde versus Alliance against like NPCs and trying to see if you can fight. The idea of Horde versus Alliance makes you think this is going to be some PvP stuff, but it isn't, so that already puts me off a little bit. But let's continue on reading just to make sure we get it right. Resources turned in include Azerite, gold, trade skin materials, and more, and we actually get a bit of an insight of what it looks like. The guy named Mr. GM, he makes great videos, and he has a lot of insight on the alpha. He goes into some of the detailed stuff that I enjoy watching. He actually has it right here what the UI kind of looks like. This is the early alpha UI, so chances are it'll probably change in multitudes of different ways. But you have your iron, you have your wood, you have your special resource, and then you have your food resource. And this is supposed to represent almost like this RTS version of World of Warcraft. If you ever played Warcraft 3, the RTS version, you had a lot of gold, you had wood, and you had farm production, or how many units you could have. So this is going to be very, very similar to that, and that's kind of how it's supposed to play. It's supposed to play like a Warcraft 3 RTS, except instead of you're controlling from a bird's eye view where everybody goes, I guess you would be the peons collecting all the resources and whatnot. So let's continue on. So you have resources, and you will have control of the area with special content for it, whether it be world bosses or simply world quests, or maybe even access to a dungeon, or maybe even a mini raid. You will almost always win a Warfront battle, so there's no risk of one faction holding it for a long time. Warfronts are held by one faction across the entire region. More Warfronts will open up as expansion progresses. So what Blizzard has explained in terms of Warfronts is it's a PvE content. You'll have alliances that go in after gathering resources, and they'll try to take it back from NPC Horde players, and they should, as you should have an advantage because of your resources. But once you take it, the alliance holds it. So you do a PvE activity, so your whole faction holds it between 5 to 7 days, and then the other faction gets to try it like a week later, and then they hold it between 5 to 7 days. So I guess that's kind of interesting. Maybe that's kind of what they're trying to just make sure if people do have alts, they can go log on to Alliance ult, a Horde ult, and each faction has enough time in order to do their, I guess, activities in there, while others might go do other world quests. And I guess it makes me ask, like, what else would you be doing? Are you going to be super busy once you control the zone, or are you going to be like basically with nothing to do, twiddling your thumbs once the zone is not controlled? Makes me ask, like, what other content are we going to have besides Warfronts? Or is Warfronts just going to be a very, very minor thing? Maybe like a weekly you do there and a couple dailies if you really, really want to. What I don't like about it, and I feel like there's a missed opportunity with Warfronts. You talk about Horde versus Alliance content. You have the one faction versus the other. To me, that rings out PvP. You're also talking about it almost like Tol Barad, because in Tol Barad or Wyrmgrasp, one faction will hold the area, and sometimes they would hold it forever if your server had too much of a spill in advantage of one or the other. But on any other server that had an equal amount or a fair amount of PvPers from both factions, you actually saw the tides of battle. You see that now it's for Alliance. Oh, now Alliance gets to do the PvE content. Now it's for the Horde. No, now the Horde gets to do it. But the way you resolved it was through PvP. And it felt like eventually whoever is holding and controlling had a much harder time holding onto their zone than somebody attacking, mainly because of how it was laid out. You didn't have any, I guess, I don't remember if there was any benefits. I know that there were towers that you could go into a siege machine and go destroy those towers, and that made it easier for you to capture all the points. So that's something the other faction would have to do, and the defending faction would have to first of all make sure everybody is there, so you would really have to get players involved, and second, it was really hard to defend, so a lot of people would just almost let the other faction take it. But you could still engage in a lot of PvP situations. You still give advantage to people that are attacking, just to give them as much of a chance to go and experience a lot of the PvE content. And I guess it would be mostly with just one world rare that you would just kill until Barad and then just AFK out, because nobody ever did any of the other ones. I understand that this isn't supposed to be PvP content, and I understand this wanted to be like an RTS kind of thing in World of Warcraft, which sounds weird. Imagine trying to play League of Legends in World of Warcraft, or I guess for Blizzard's sake, imagine trying to play Heroes of the Storm in World of Warcraft. I don't think that's gonna work all that well. You know what I mean? I just don't know. I feel like there's a missed opportunity with Warfront being Horde versus Alliance type of thematic content. They missed a lot of the PvP aspects to it, because I think it'd be kind of cool. It'd be almost like another Tol Barad. Now, when you look at this part of the cinematic, and you're seeing charges to Warfronts, you're seeing all the, I guess, players engaging against NPCs, but it looks so epic, it looks so much fun. But when you add the idea that it's not PvP, I feel like it almost takes away from the experience a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I'm sad about it that it's not PvP, because it looks like so much fun. It looks so much fun in the PvP aspect, but it still might be great for PvE. Now, World PvP is another thing I'm super excited, and I talked about it in a little bit, but let's again go over MMO Champion just to get our bearings, what it's all about. The team isn't 100% sure why players are hesitant to engage in PvP combat. Maybe because you add legendaries and flying mounts into the game, so a lot of people avoid each other because it's easier. Well, most people want to engage in PvP. It's just you're throwing in overpowered items in the game and ways of people escaping. The game, it doesn't have the best PvP balance, is the best way I would put it. So, of course, people are super hesitant to engage. You know, I don't know, man. Leveling in war mode enabled will grant more experience and rewards, which is awesome because you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting yourself out there, and the best thing, they're sharding this. You're going on a different realm when you turn on World PvP mode, war mode, so that you can balance to make sure that none of the factions are dominated. You can balance like, oh, it looks like not enough alliance here, let's just flood a bunch of new people that want to go PvP into this place where not a lot of alliance are here. Oh, the horde that's starting to drop off, let's refill them kind of deal. So you can have like maybe, I don't know how many servers they're going to have for PvP, maybe just one big mega server just so everybody floods into PvP, but you could balance it somehow, you know? That's what I like about it, because a lot of people, when they go out, let's say on my server, old server Illidan, there's barely any alliance players, and when they are showing up, everybody on horde is like, alliance, and they just go killing them as soon as they can, so nobody on alliance could do the world quest, and it's just like 12 in the morning. I'm hoping this isn't one of those things we're just trying to give PvPers their own little space away from others, but rather trying to facilitate a more a different mode of gameplay, a different mode of World of Warcraft. And actually, I feel like this one has the most potential, because World PvP has always been something that's been there in the game since the beginning. Back in vanilla, when they didn't have BGs, World PvP was the only thing that was viable. So maybe Blizzard can find a way to balance the World PvP in one way or another, even though I think it'll be impossible. If at least it can be a fun place where, let's say you have a 1v1 situation and it's a lot like an arena or a lot like a BG. There's so much potential with this. There's so much potential with World PvP. I'm really hoping it works out for the end. And finally, we have Zarathian cultists casting again, and it looks like the time that will end their cast is about April 24th, which a lot of people are saying that maybe that'll be when we finally give up our artifact weapons. It has to be Silithus. Like, it has to be Silithus stuff. Because you remember how the sword landed in Silithus? I haven't been to Silithus since. There wasn't a quest or anything to send me there. So I guess this was going to be happening. I'm still wondering how they're going to do it. You know what? I'm really hoping we keep the weapons up until the pre-patch, which is apparently supposed to be happening sometime in July. Maybe July 1st, maybe July 14th. A month before the release of BFA usually. But, oh, I can't wait to get rid of my weapon, man. I can't wait to get rid of my weapon. I mean, I'm probably going to be an Outlaw Rogue still running around with a bunch of swords. But I think, like, a sword and a mace would be a very, very interesting combo all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Or maybe even a fist weapon. A sword and a fist weapon. Because that's what I used to run way back in the day. Or maybe Outlaw Rogues can run daggers again. Because at one point they used to. In the offhand, run a little bit dagger, just stabby stabby. I'd be kind of cool if you could go back to that kind of weapon customization, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be down to like one-handers, non-dagger based weapons. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on the Warfronts. And what do you expect Zoroark cultists to be casting? Because maybe some people are saying maybe it could be the beta. Maybe it could be when they unlock how many legendaries we can have, so we can just outfit ourselves with legendaries. Although I think all those things are silly. Pretty sure it's going to probably be something tame. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. Subscribe, but sometimes that's not even enough. So hit the notification bell as well in order to be notified in every single video and every single live stream that goes live. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see all of you in another video.